Hey everyone, it's Fred from Performance Partners. Today I'm joined by Maddie from Impact, which is one of our go-to platforms for scaling e-commerce brands. We've worked with Impact for years and wanted to create this video to show why they're one of our preferred partners. We'll walk you through a live demo of the platform, show you how easy it is to get started, and highlight some powerful tools that can help you recruit top affiliates and drive serious revenue. Let's jump in.
I'm excited to film this video with Maddie from Impact. She's one of the channel partner managers that we worked with for several years. Just really excited. I wanted to do this video to highlight Impact. They're one of our preferred partners whenever we onboard a new e-commerce brand that we want to work with. You know, there are a lot of different platforms that we can work with, and Impact is one of our favorites. And so this video is just about highlighting how amazing they are and some of their features and how to get sign up, and just do a quick live demo and just educate e-commerce brands on how easy it is to use and sign up for their platform.
We can walk through what the demo of the platform looks like first,
Sure.
and then go into kind of what that sign up process is, highlighting, how easy it is, especially when you're working with an agency partner like Performance Partners. Right now, we are looking at the dashboard of Impact. This is customizable down to the user level. So it's really just that snapshot summary of what is going on in your program. You can customize these little widgets, move them around as well. We'll go through the marketplace and reports and all of that type of stuff, but really being able to personalize just that summary snapshot view of, the dashboard, everything that's going on. First thing you'll see when you log in to the platform.
This is a great place that we use quite often, because when you come in, I believe you can just check some stats in terms of revenue and where you stand in terms of like actual conversions and revenue for the month.
Totally. And this is all demo data here. So just putting that out there as well. Moving into the marketplace. So the marketplace is where a brand will find and recruit that there are potential partners for the program. We curate lists based on the time of year, any trends that we're seeing. You can see Father's Day is coming up. But once a brand launches, about 90 days after that launch, we'll also start to personalize recommendations of partners you can work with, just based on client vertical, who we're seeing like-minded clients work with, all of that type of stuff. But you can also go into all partners or filter down based on the partner type to be able to engage and recruit those partners to work with as well. So one of my favorite filters to call out is this categories filter. This just helps you, again, narrow down different categories so you're reaching out to relevant partners. You can also hop into these additional filters. So going into channels, where they're located, any of that demographic information, that'll be here as well. But once you kind of filter down all of those potential partners, you can actually click into each one. So you'll be able to see what their live website looks like, if there are any, socials attached, anything like that, any details as well, who the actual point of contact is to reach out to, promotional areas, all of those demographics. But what's great about this feature right here is you can actively send them a message in the platform, send them an email, or go ahead and send them a proposal. So one of the other features that we'll get into is that contracting feature. But basically, you will be able to build out different contracts and send them directly through this, marketplace discover tool, as well as just make notes of who's reaching out, any types of activity. Make a note of, reached out on May 15th or something like that. So helping you keep organized with that recruitment process.
And I have a quick question. If you go back to the properties tab there, a lot of brands, they struggle with identifying the size of the affiliate and knowing whether they're dealing with a big or small affiliate. I see here that you have a section there for monthly visitors.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great tool that we use as an agency to determine, like, let's say if you're looking at a content site, whether it's a blog or review site, we look at those monthly visitors. It's not the be all end all, but it really gives you a good gauge of the size of partner that you're trying to get in touch with.
Totally. Yeah, and I think too, one of those filters as well up here is size, partner size, so you can make sure you know how big they are and align your strategy, how you're reaching out to them with that information.
Yes, amazing.
Last thing to highlight, just over recruitment, one of my favorite parts or tools I call the yay or nay tool, is just to make life a little bit easier before a partner joins the program. You can click yay, add this prospect to a prospecting list, or no, they're not a fit. And then you can actually go into this prospecting tab, which will help you keep track of where they are in that process before they join the program. So again, this is demo data, but you can say, hey, I'm reaching out to 25, have sent contracts to 19, and oops, looks like 22 expired. Do I want to go back in there and see if I want to reach back out to anyone? So helpful little, I guess, just organization tool. And again, you can click into the partners here as well and see that same exact information we saw on the marketplace.
Yeah, and I can add, we use, if you go back to the previous, the prospects page, we use this all of the time. This is so important, especially for a newer brand or a brand that's potentially managing the program themselves. One of the key things that we say is, when you're trying to do outreach, when you're trying to recruit affiliates, you have to treat it like a sales process. And so what that means is you can't expect to just message a partner once and that's it. So you have to have some kind of way of staying organized so that you remember, when was the last time that I messaged this person? When should I follow up with them again? What was the last thing that was said? Without a tool like this, it gets lost in the fold, and then you can lose out on a lot of opportunities. And even with us, like as an experienced agency, when we reach out to partners, like sometimes it takes, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times of following up for them to actually respond. Sometimes people are out of office. There's a host of different reasons. And so a big theme and message that I always say is the money is in the follow-up. And you're not able to follow up if you're not organized and if you don't have a system. So like this tool here for Impact is one of the most important tools we use.
Totally. Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier instead of spreadsheets of where you are in outreach and what they've said, how that conversation's going, everything like that. Moving into the partners tab. So once a partner joins your program, they will join, or you will be able to go to my partners, and this kind of acts as your CRM for all of the different partners that are a part of your program. You can click into each one and you'll see what their performance looks like for your program. So clicks, actions, revenue. You'll also be able to, double check what contract they're on. And then one feature I always like to call out is this grouping feature. So you can put different partners in as many groups as you would like, but it helps you personalize outreach, the changing of their contract, comparing how different groups of partners are performing against each other, all automating that process, everything like that. So that's something I always like to call out if you want to be able to compare, how lifestyle influencers are performing against mommy bloggers, or, just thinking of examples and stuff like that. You can definitely track their performance against each other, as well as maybe offering a specific promo for a weekend to a subset of your partners, letting them know through messaging them, just those partners specifically. It helps you automate just partner communications, making sure everything's up to date, and you're on the same page with program goals and everything like that. Getting into reporting now. Reporting is one of my favorite parts of the platform. Everything is in real time. There's no one you have to go through on our side to be able to pull data. You can really come in here and customize all of the different reports to your liking. You can also have that sent out into your inbox if you want to receive a report every Monday morning or something like that. So not having to log into the platform. every day if you get it sent to your email or anything like that. This right here is our performance by partner report. It's one of our most popular reports that tracks the performance by partner. So you're able to see impressions, clicks, actions, revenue, all of that type of data, and directly compare partners to each other. So if I wanted to see how influencer Cassidy Cook performed against Marla, you would just be able to select those two and see how they compare. It can be more than just two, but just two here for this example. We'll see what that looks like, and just gives you that insight into, who's a productive partner. Are you able to see any trends? Be able to have conversations about what your partnership looks like, what's working, what's not, all of that type of stuff. You can see the direct comparison of Marla and Cassidy.
And quick question, I'm not sure if you're going to cover this already, if I'm skipping or anything, but in terms of the columns there in the report, I believe there is some customization. Like, let's say if, we have a client and they really care about ROAS, maybe there's another client that cares about conversion rate or AOV. These are things that we could potentially customize to our reports.
Yeah, so you can customize all of your different reports. Similarly with that grouping tool I was calling out, if you wanted to see, how the different groups were doing, time periods, all of that type of stuff. There's hundreds, I think 100 to 200 pre-built reports that you're able to play around with and make sure that you're seeing, revenue that a partner is bringing, cost, all of that type of stuff. One other report, just quickly showing here, this is actually my favorite report in Impact. It shows an individual customer's journey and the partners they engaged with before they made a purchase. So this is a good one here. Has a lot of different touch points, but like I said, it's showing all of the partners that a brand or a customer is interacting with before they check out and become a customer of that brand. So it just gives you that insight into noticing, who's a top of funnel partner or, last click before a purchase, and gives you that insight into, how are you aligning how you're paying these partners with the actual influence and value that they're bringing into your program.
Which is important because, with all of the, media attention around, last click attribution partners, and a lot of our clients want to work with top of funnel partners. And so a report like this, it's one thing to say, oh, like this content site is a top of funnel partner, or this X affiliate is a top of funnel partner. But it's a whole other thing when you can actually present them with a report.
Last part of the demo that I just wanted to get into, and I mentioned before, was just that contracting section. So there's no limit to the amount of contracts that you share and create with your partners. As you can see here, they have influencer, affiliate terms, all for different partner types. But just to quickly walk through what creating a contract looks like, you're able to either pull from an existing template or build one from scratch. But the first thing that you would do is select what that event type is and select the default payout. So just for example's sake, let's say it's 10%. You could leave the contract at this if you just wanted a flat fee, or not flat fee, but default payout, certain commission of an order, that's it. But you also can customize it to really incentivize your partners to drive specific actions, and also set up restrictions or guide rails just to make sure, you're building and creating the program that you want. So one of my favorite parts is this payout group section. Essentially, you're able to choose, hey, if item category is, let's say, jeans, I really want to incentivize partners to drive the sales of jeans. So I'd actually give them 15% of the order sale amount instead of that default 10%. Similarly, you can adjust payouts by a certain percentage. So instead of changing it to 15%, if the item SKU or price was, I don't know, some number 1, 2, 3, 4, you could increase or decrease the payout by a certain percentage. So again, just incentivizing how you're working with the different partners, just based on, who and what you are looking for them to promote. Similarly, for the contracting, you can set up restrictions. So if there's ever a case for why you would not want to generate a payout, you can create those rules here. I always put order promo code as employee. I won't generate a payout, and you can set limits and everything like that as well. So you can get as, personalized and in the details as you'd like, or just set up that 10, 15, whatever your strategy and percentages for working with that particular partner. You can do that all within contracting here.
I have a question. So in this section here, is this like when, let's say a brand were to come and develop this contract, can you make it so it's a generic contract across the entire program? Or is this specifically for individual partners?
Yeah, so you can build out different contracts, and that kind of lives in that home of template terms.
Mm-hmm.
And then often what we see brands do is if they know they want to work with influencers, say, and pay influencers out a higher percentage than a different partner type, like a coupon and deal or content site, they'll put all of their influencers on the same contract and then put all of those influencers also in the same group using that grouping tool, so you can, make sure that you're streamlining those communications with the different subset of partners, but also, you don't have to have a template or a contract for each individual partner in the platform.
Gotcha. And so what if I wanted to give an individual custom payout to a partner? Would it be in this dashboard here, or would I go into the individual partner and I can edit their individual payout?
Either one. So if they were on if you just wanted to give one particular partner something different, you would probably create a new contract for them and send that one to them specifically, just so you're not changing a template that multiple different partners are on. So you would either do that here or in that communication with the partner before they officially join the program. In that negotiation stage, you build out a contract that both parties agree to. That was high level, different parts of the platform. Fred, anything else you'd like to call out or show of what the platform looks like?
Honestly, I just have one last question, and I'm not sure you can answer this. I think you can. It's a very simple, basic question. I think in your experience of working with so many different brands and merchants on the platform, what would be your advice for a new brand that's signing up to Impact and they're going to be starting outreach through the marketplace? What do you suggest they use for the messaging? Not the actual wording of it, but just high level, what's the kind of strategy you want to go with?
Yeah, that's a good question. And not to give you an it depends answer, but I think it really depends on the type of partner the brands are looking to work with. Influencer versus content site, those communications will look pretty different. But that first, let's say 3 months, it's really about recruitment and reaching out to the different partners, highlighting, your product, any particular offers, kind of similar to a PR pitch. Working with an agency like yourself is super beneficial because of the existing relationships agencies have with a lot of the partners. We also have sub-affiliate networks in our marketplace that have access to, a bunch of different partners underneath an umbrella. So that's always a good place to start. But Impact does have a lot of resources in terms of learnings, of best tips and practices, both in our help center and also what we call our Partnerships Experience Academy, or PXA, which has some free courses and videos just of the different nuances, both of the industry and of the platform itself.
We always say that you kind of have to test, almost split test different types of messages to see what resonates the best. But, trying to keep it as simple as possible is probably always a good idea, because I think what a lot of times brands, they're not cognizant of is the number of messages that some partners get. And so you don't want to overburden them with a really long message. You kind of want to keep it short and sweet, Okay, so for this part, Maddie, we're going to go through the sign up process. So if an e-commerce brand wanted to get set up on one of your starter edition packages, which is kind of like your entry point starter edition package. We're going to walk through what that process looks like using, one of our agency sign-up links. So for anyone that is interested in signing up for an account with Impact, I'm going to include the link at the top of the description of this video. The purpose of this part really is to show how quickly and how easy it is to get an account set up and get it up and running. So Maddie, take it away.
Totally. So as Fred said, this just outlines that sign up process for Starter Edition. Since Performance Partners is an agency partner of ours, we'll be walking through the flow of the agency version of Starter. There's also a self-service version of Starter. If you see Impact's app in the Shopify App Store, the other e-commerce sites that we're integrated with, like WooCommerce, Squarespace, everything like that. But it is such an easy way to get started in affiliate. And I'll just move forward with kind of what that process looks like. So again, we started just by pulling that personalized link from Performance Partners Agency Console, which led us to this sign up page. So I am just pulling or creating an account here. So this will be your individual login, but as you'll be able to see, you'll be able to invite users with different levels of access. So everyone will have their direct login information into the platform. When you put in that phone number, like you just saw, just make sure it is a cell phone. I've had people put in office landlines, and then who knows where this code ends up. So you just enter a code here. It loves to verify that we're human. And then you just put in the company information. So we have a test account using Shopify called Bearkind that we'll be using here. And you will just put in, this isn't creating your profile yet. It is just giving us that background information. Here, now that we've created that login, we'll actually get into the checklist of creating, your marketplace profile, setting up the integration for tracking, all of that type of stuff. So the first thing is just click and get started here. You can watch the video. But as I mentioned, the first thing you'll do is invite other people to your program. So once it takes us to the next step, it should automatically go there, but I'll skip through it here. You can invite either an agency or a user to have access to your program. Just put their email in here, select super user, and then you can click invite. If there's no one that you want to invite at this time, you totally can go through this launch process and add or remove different users. So this is not your last time by any means of when you can invite other users into the account. So I'll go ahead and just click this little checkbox, and that will bring us to program information. So Bearkind, for example's sake, it's a vegan, cruelty-free cosmetics brand with a clean aesthetic. So I'll just put that in here. Logo, you just upload a picture. And again, similarly with inviting your team, you need to put something in each of these required sections, but you can edit, update, change things around once you're live within the platform. This categories feature is what we saw in the demo. Both the brand and the partner choose categories and subcategories just to make it a little bit easier to find each other. You'll also add some keywords. So in this case, I'll put skincare and vegan, as many as you would like. And then the last required section is just choosing that partner business model. This just means the types of partners you're open to working with. So I always say there's no harm in selecting all, since it doesn't mean that you have to work with all of these partners. But if you know, for whatever reason that you don't want to work with any of these partner types, you can go ahead and unselect them. Impact AI is a feature of this edition of Impact that automatically adds partners to your program. So a great way to quickly recruit partners. But if you want to go through all of the partner applications, approve and deny, and really see who's joining your program, I would recommend starting with it off. It is automatically toggled on, so if you did want to turn it off, you would click not for you, click here, and then just toggle this little toggle off and click save. and then click continue. Last, or not last thing, but in terms of contracting, you would set up your public terms. So this just means when partners are applying to your program, the contract that they're applying for. I always suggest starting this or setting this as your lowest commission rate that you'll be offering through the program, because as we saw in the demo, you'll be able to create different contracts, offer particular partners a higher commission. So just for example, say I'll put 10% here.
And again, just like with all the other parts, even if you haven't decided on an official default commission to give out, you can always go back in later and edit it.
Yes, totally. Cool. Getting into the integration step. So we'll automatically start populating the tracking websites just based on the URL that you put in when you created your account. And then here are all of the integrations that this edition of Impact is eligible works with. We're going to be using Shopify for this example. So the first thing was just making sure that, the brand is eligible for the Shopify integration. As long as the landing page and checkout cart are hosted by Shopify, all of these should apply. So I'll just go ahead and click. And then if the brand uses Bold, Recharge, or Stay AI and has a subscription element to their product where customers, can subscribe to get a shipment every month or every 6 months, anything like that, you can set up paying out partners differently for subscription signups. We do not have that enabled for this test account of Shopify. But again, they have to be using Bold, Recharge, or Stay AI to be able to set up that subscription. So I'll go ahead and just click next there, and then click connect to your Shopify store. You'll see this pop-up come up. You'll just put in your My Shopify URL, and then you'll get a little pop-up that asks you if you want to give permissions and install the Impact app to your Shopify. All you do here is click install, and then it should automatically disappear just like it did right there. That is tracking being all set up. There's nothing else to do in terms of tracking integration. The great thing about this edition of Impact is we saw how quickly that went, but also there is no integration fee or anything like that for this edition of Impact, as long as they're using one of our e-commerce platforms like a Shopify.
It's just that simple, really. We talk to a lot of clients. One of their concerns are there some platforms out there that require pixel or tag implementations. It involves, dev resources. This is something that can drag out the process. It can be quite complicated depending on how many tags need to be placed. This is one of the things that we love about working with Impact. Getting set up, honestly, especially if you're on a Shopify store or any one of those approved shopping carts that we saw on the list before, it's a very simple process. You no dev or tech skills needed.
Totally. Yeah, that's my favorite part, is seeing people's eyes light up that they just put in their Shopify URL and said, yes, we want to integrate. And because of that pre-built integration, it's just the click of those buttons. So now we're all good from that tracking perspective. Last little part here in terms of sign up, this is just outlining the payment terms for Impact's Starter Edition. So that would be good to go over as well. For the agency version of Starter, so signing up through an agency partner of ours, it's $30 a month or 20% of partner commissions, whichever one is greater. So that means $30 minimum or a usage rate just on what you're paying partners of 20%. It's also our only month-to-month edition of our platform. So you can cancel or upgrade into our other tiers at any time.
And so this is part of the appeal of the Starter Edition, is that it reduces the risk for brands. There are so many different platforms out there. There are so many different SaaS tools that companies have to sign up for, and some require contracts and commitments. With the Impact Starter Edition, number one, the integration is super fast and easy. Number two, the cost of paying for the platform, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to generate revenue on an affiliate program. And the good thing about this package is you're not paying like hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars and having that financial burden and that weight and that pressure. $30 is quite affordable in our industry, and it's something that it gives the brand a little bit of runway and some breathing room in terms of when they can start seeing some results coming through. This is one of the things I would say, Maddie, obviously outside of selling our customers and clients on impact based on UI, based on technology, based on reporting, based on ease of integration, the barrier to entry, the barrier to get signed up in terms of the financial cost is so low that it's just a no-brainer.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially with that month-to-month aspect of it too. Giving you that time to get started, recruit partners, all of that type of stuff is what's really great about this edition in particular. That was basically it from the onboarding perspective. You just agree to, the terms, and then the last section there would be putting in a credit card, which I will not be doing. But basically, you'd put in a credit card just for those partner payouts and impact fees. And then you'd see some confetti on your screen. It would say, take me to impact.com marketplace, and you'd be taken to, where we started that demo of the dashboard marketplace. And that this account would be live within Impact within however 15, 20 minutes. So super quick setup, which is always great.
Yep, exactly. And so as a brand, whether you decide to do it on your own, it's simple, and you can get to actually starting to recruit and do your outreach to partners. Whether you're working with an agency such as ourselves, we can get going really quickly. And a lot of times with affiliate marketing, it does take time. It like with every good thing in life, it takes time. And so the faster that you can get to recruiting, the more opportunities you can put into the pipeline, and the faster you can potentially start seeing revenue and conversions coming through. So again, the ability to get that sign up process done quickly is I can't underscore that enough.
Totally.
Maddie, that was super informative, very educational and valuable. Really appreciate the time that you took to go through not only the live demo of the platform, but also the sign up process. Like I mentioned before, I'll include a link in the description where brands can sign up for an impact account. If they want to reach out to me, I consider myself an unofficial/official brand ambassador. So I'm always willing to give information and help anyone out if they have questions on how to use the platform. But again, honestly, just to wrap things up, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And I look forward to doing a lot of business together.
Of course. Thanks for having me. You've been a great partner. So anything we can do to work together. I love it.
If you're an e-commerce brand looking to get started in affiliate marketing, or just want a smarter way to manage and scale your program, Impact Starter Edition is a great place to begin. You'll find a sign-up link in the description below. And as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm happy to help however I can. Big thanks again to Maddie and the Impact team. We'll see you in the next video.